I'm the Doctor.
It's clobbering time. Engage.
Welcome, everybody, to Heroes Asylum, issue 66. Not the number of the beast just yet, but, we're still working on it. So, welcome, guys. It is me, Michael, and I got Kane over here to my right.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully, everybody's staying safe and staying inside.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good over here so far. Just keeping it chill. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into our normal show. We got some memorial stuff to cover. We've got some, unfortunately, deaths to cover as well, and we'll go ahead and get that going here. So go ahead and start with our memorial service, memorial section. I know Kane hates the music, so.
Oh, Lord.
So what we have, first up, actually, G.I. Joe artist Hector Garrido passes away. He's at age 92. Garrido, actually, he's usually not a name that people are going to recognize because of his art is not, like the name is, it wasn't something that was in the animated series, wasn't something that was in the comic books. His actually was the toy line, the action figure line, and the toys that came with it. We always had that nice picture and the massive spread of like the explosion behind him. That's what he was known for, and he was the artist that did that specific style. So, we're all very familiar with him, especially if we were, brought up playing with GI Joes, like I know I did, and I'm pretty sure Kane, you were as well. But yeah, he was an icon. I mean, the file cards that everybody likes to collect. Our favorite shop, Acme, they actually have the file cards, just the file cards for sale. So if anybody, I've actually thought, I was like, I'd like to get back into collecting, and I think that would be a cool one to bring in. It's just the file
it's
card.
an easier way to collect too. Those are not as expensive as the figures are. They kind of boost up that price.
Yeah,
I remember I used to collect those too. Like literally, that was the one thing I had was the Joes, and then you had like the file cards.
Yeah.
Them.
Yeah, because they even came out with a file card holder that you could keep your cards in as well. But yeah, he was. He also did some work in the it looks like in the '60s for Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, as well as some romance and gothic novels. So he was well known as an artist, and he kind of did the GI Joe stuff later on in his career. He had a massive career beforehand, but again, that's probably what he's pop culture wise. For our generation, is that probably our parents' generation would be more familiar with the Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boy stuff.
Yeah, it's more of that guess what, that Riverdale stuff, Archie's and all that, probably in that vein.
Sorry, yeah, yep. Next death we have Power Rangers and Lord of the Rings actor Bruce Allpress. He passed away at 89. He was known for being in Lord of the Rings. He was recognized as Aldor. I'm trying to remember from the Two Towers movie. I'm trying to remember who Aldor was. I believe he was part of the
Was he the imp? No, that's the tree thing.
Yeah, that was the tree. No, I think he was part, if I remember correctly, and I'm going to butcher the names because I have literally not read or seen a Lord of the Rings series in years. But in the second book, or in the movie, the kingdom, the Horse Kingdom, there were other people within the community there, and I think he was part of that. As far as Power Rangers goes, he was part of the Power Rangers Jungle Fury. Unfortunately, I lost my Power Rangers interest, I think, in the second or the third incarnation. But this was he was Master Font in the Power Rangers of the Jungle Fury.
Yeah, I don't know who Master Font is. I never even know there was a Jungle Fury.
There are, I want to say, almost 20 different like Power Ranger versions out there. They went crazy.
I think they did a special. I think it was 2 years ago, and a couple of the OG ones came back. Apparently, it was like this huge battle, and like I kind of was curious about it, so I just kind of like popped it on the screen, and I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I know the ZO4, so I go, oh, there's the OG Rangers. I go, okay, cool, and then there was like these other ones that like, who the hell are these guys? Underwater Rangers or Space Rangers?
Yeah, I think I lost that. I think it's Zeo. I think I got the first one.
Yeah, that's where I stopped. Also with Zeo. Yeah, that was the last one.
Yeah, I think also it's just my age. I think when that came out, I think I was in my mid-teens. So other interests were coming around. So those are our deaths. Again, we always here's Asylum. We just always want to send our condolences out to the family and to their friends and their fans. Especially like I said, these two would definitely fall under a deep cut category if you're a fan of either one of those genres, the GI Joe action figures, and of course the Lord of the Rings and the Power Rangers have their own fan base as well.
Very big fan base too. So yeah, rest in peace and much love to the family this time.
Yes, sir. And now neither one, of course, we're going to mark that up. Neither one COVID, so let that be known. I know the Hector, he passed away. I think 92, and he passed away in his sleep. And then I believe the All Press had had Lou Gehrig's disease, so they're believing it was complications with Lou Gehrig. So
Well, they live
nothing
long
COVID.
lives.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's a long life. But we could only hope that we could live that long.
Crossing my fingers and other body parts. So.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we can go ahead and jump into the admissions ward. For those of you that are new here to the Asylum, admissions ward is our new section, our rumor section, where we just kind of Kane grabs stuff on his own, I grab stuff on my own, and we just kind of sit down and just like shoot at each other, have our conversations, and hopefully get you guys interested in maybe some of the stuff we're talking about that you may not have known. And then hop out there on social media and find some of these groups that are out there. I know with some of the stuff that we've covered, I actually found a couple of great Facebook groups. There's a couple of Transformer Facebook groups out there. I love those guys to death.
They're super sweaties.
Yeah,
like
super.
us.
Yes, yeah, these are the super sweaties. So
The supers.
let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and jump into the admissions ward.
News from the admissions ward.
I love that music, by the way.
All right,
It's
so-
never gonna get old.
No, it never does. So what do you have? I'll go ahead and let you start off. I think you and I are about even on news. So
Yeah, I think we got about the same. So Taika Waititi finished I think his second or first draft for Thor, Love and Thunder, coming out in a couple years. Who knows? Only 2025. I forgot the date. But and apparently Chris Hemsworth got a peek at the script and he praised it. And this is going off a couple comments that Taika had said a couple weeks ago. He was in I think he was doing another live watch party because everybody's doing live watch parties nowadays because there's nothing else to do. And he said that if you think that pretty much Ragnarok was out there, this script, Love and Thunder, is really out there. And Hemsworth apparently digs it, so if the star likes it, that's always a good sign. That,
Yeah,
The
definitely.
star likes it. That means he's into it. That means he's gonna rock and roll again with it. That means I don't know. Is this story gonna be fat? We don't know. I mean, he's gonna have to do like a little workout section in the middle.
I
Him
thought
and
we
Chris
had
Pratt
I thought
working
we
out
had
on
read
Netflix.
I thought we had read where he had lost it. That they were saying that he wasn't going to be having the weight issue anymore. But I think you and I joked about it. We should have a montage of Rocket Raccoon running him through the paces like Mickey.
They should, man. Come on, that'd be great. Like he's on some kind of weird space planet and like trying to get the chicken. Some kind of weird space chicken with 3 heads. He's trying to catch it. Come on, Thor, you can do it, Thor. Do it.
Yeah,
That'd be great. And then Chris Pratt's working out too because apparently Chris Pratt was a little fatty according to The Rock. And so, I mean, just a good sign. And like I said before, just when the guy likes it, he's into it. That means I dig it. That means he's gonna go 100%. He's not gonna sell out for it. He's not gonna lay down like most stars do when they see a script. I'm like, Bruce Willis. But hey, always a good sign, especially with Taika. And Taika's out there. I just started watching What They Do in Shadows, the series in FX.
Yeah.
And the movie, I thought it was brilliant, and I think the series is on equal footing. I'm like 3 episodes in. I'm like, and Taika hasn't shown up. I guess he shows up somewhere along the way.
Yeah, like I said, I think you and I were talking about that before, and I don't remember the time he does finally show up, but yeah, he does show up.
It still has the sensibilities of the movie. And if you guys have never seen the movie, you are doing yourself a disservice. Watch What They Do in Shadows. It's with Taika. I forgot who the other actors are. I think a bunch of O-name.
It's a lot of the British actors, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'm horrible with them. And I know one of them is one's from the IT group. He was their manager after the first owner dies, or he's the owner of the business. And after the first one dies, this guy comes in and he's got like, imagine if anybody's an Office fan, like the Michael Scott, but with like worse, like like limitations of things to say. He's got no concept of how to say, what to say and when to say things. So, but yeah, definitely. And then I do know Taika shows up. I think, like I said, I want to say it's the second season.
Well, I'm not there yet. 3 episodes in. I think it's only 10 episodes, so it's pretty short.
Yeah, they
Go
are.
pretty
Yeah,
fast.
they are very very short on those.
So I'm just wondering with this script that he did. Are they gonna go more comedy, or are they just gonna go more weird?
I honestly, I think
That's what I'm trying to think. I'm like, I
I,
don't want it to be too much of a comedy because I kind of like the way they just did it. Like, that what they do in Shadows and Thor Ragnarok had the right amount of
I
comedy.
think that's what we're
Like
gonna
you and I
get.
discussed that before. Yeah, you don't want to go too much over into the overall comedy. I don't want that.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get that style of comedy. But I, I, I think honestly, with the title, like the title of Ragnarok threw me off when we actually saw what the movie was. But I think the title of Love and Thunder, I know what to expect. I'm expecting Ragnarok Goofy with just that title alone, in the font and the styles, the animated styles that we saw. That's what I'm expecting, because of the name of the title is kind of what I'm looking at.
It's gonna be more Kirby madness. That's all I know.
Yes, let's hope.
Very
Yes,
happy.
yes.
So what you got, sir?
This one actually caused some some issues this week. There were some rather boisterous YouTubers, some I'm going to say it. I'm sorry to say it, but there were some very cranky white middle-aged men out there this week bitching about Star Wars. The Star Wars series.
Mike, why are you bitching about Star Wars?
It was not me. I'm actually kind of on board with this. Star Wars series was announced for Disney Plus, not a movie, guys. So let's calm ourselves down a little bit. Everybody's like, we just got a movie like that. Why are we getting it? No, this is a series on Disney Plus. The creator or co-creator, not the full creator, so don't it's not all in her hands. But Leslie Headland, and if you got nobody's so familiar with that, I haven't seen it, but I've heard raves. I think you said you saw it. Was
Yes,
Russian Doll.
yes.
Is she's been assigned and will be on board to do this, and it'll be very female centered Star Wars, which, guys, I'm perfectly okay with that. I know everybody was going, oh my God, Star Wars, Star Wars. Is going to have another female one. We just got done with one. Yeah, and we also just got done with a very male centric series with Mandalorian, and we've got a second season coming up. We've got Obi-Wan in the works. We've got Cassian Andor. Guess what? Dudes are being recognized. All right, it's okay to let the ladies get their limelight. I don't know why everybody is pitching a fit, and every single person I've seen on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, they're just the white dudes, and they are just continually perpetuating that stereotype that that unfortunately I don't agree with her, but she was kind of right. She would just drew a blank. Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. She made that comment. I don't care what a white middle-aged guy thinks about my movies, and in a way, I kind of agree with her because we just are just assholes on stuff. We're really not willing to give something a shot, and I think this is a good chance because guess what, guys? We've had our ball. We've played with it. We've done good with it. Let's give the girl. I know the history of a female-led Star Wars Disney product. It hasn't been 100%, but it was still a good shot. So, what do you think?
I like it. It's coming from her because like I said, I've seen Russian Dolls, and I think what she's gonna bring to it is the right amount of sensibility. What I mean by sensibility is like it's not gonna be just a straight it's all females. Screw the guys. No, she's gonna have the right amount of balance in it. She's gonna balance the characters as female and male. Because if you've seen Russian Dolls, the characters are what make that show. I mean, pretty much any show is like that. But in this way, do they focus on females? Absolutely they do. But they also focus on the male characters. They just don't leave them out and brush them to the side. There's actually some growth there, and I think she's going to bring that to Star Wars as well. Yes, you're going to have like a strong female protagonist, but you're going to also have some strong male roles as well. And I think that's the one thing that gets lost or diluted by some of our people in our community is they get all cranky, like, oh, it's girls, like, oh, cooties, whatever. I don't know, but I think by now we should just ignore that thinking because I think it's very stupid and very chauvinistic. Like you said before, we've had our ball for a while. So, let's just share the love. Here, do this. I mean, who cares? I mean, what's the big deal? It's going to be led by a girl. I think it's great. I can't wait to see what she's going to do with it. I'm fascinated to see what time period she's going to work in. Is it going to be now after, the new trilogy? Is it going to go back? I'm in the middle. I don't know. But it should be fun. So I can't wait. Yeah,
that's why I'm kind of interested to see where she is she gonna come from, or what time frame is she gonna do? Because I mean, it'd be cool if it was a continuation of maybe the new series, or if it's something different. And just
big
kind
sandbox,
and
so
again,
she can go anywhere.
she's not on her own. That's another thing. It's she's not doing this. She's co-creator now. There are other people in there that are going to be out there to help her and guide, work with her. It's not that she's going to go crazy. And guess what? Even if she did let her, but it's just watching the middle-aged man lose her shit again. It just I just laugh. There's a couple of those sites out there, and the G&G site is all I'm going to call them, and they just hate anything that comes out of Disney. Like, and it's like, are you guys fans? Why are you even talking about this because I've never seen love come from any of their shows. It's always like, this is crap.
This is garbage. What the hell?
Yeah.
Is this crap? Like, come on. I don't want to see that stuff. But should be interesting. We'll see what's
definitely will be.
Yeah. So.
Guess that was. Yeah, you are next. Yeah, sorry, we both kind of went off on a.
You were about to say something. Giancarlo Esposito said, and I guess this is a duh moment, but yes, the Darksaber will be featured in season 2 of The Mandalorian. I guess it's a duh moment, but hey, I guess this is confirmation. I mean, if there wasn't enough confirmation enough that seeing him at the end, spoilers of season 1 when he actually holds the Darksaber up.
Holds it up.
I mean, that's just putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
I think the Darksaber's gonna show up and make a big impact.
Yeah,
in
if
2,
they didn't, then I would probably jump on board with those YouTube guys going, what the hell are you doing there? You're showing it to us at the end. You're teasing that, and then you're not gonna show it again. What show was like that? Young Justice. We ended season 1 with Darkseid, and then we don't see Darkseid at all. We end season 2 with Darkseid again.
I think you saw Darkseid from this distance, wait.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I understand the intro to Granny Goodness and Godfrey, and that was great to show them being there and that they were kind of laying the groundwork. But it was just like, let's get a little bit closer. Like you said about the light on the first season, it was just so long to get to the end of the light storyline, and
it took forever. And then you got to the light, and then the Justice League, betrayed everybody, and then what? And then there's a trial, and then I'm thinking Darkseid, yes, and then it's like, and then I think you see him at the ending of stuff.
You saw him at the end of both. You saw him at the end of season 1 and season 2, just almost Thanos, just the back of his head. And okay, we got it. We know he's there.
You're building him up again. I thought this was his season. You teased it, and then you run away. I'm like, just very strange. I just seen Giancarlo Stanton on a show that you highly recommended. Is Godfather Harlem, and he's great in that show. By the way, he's great. And just seeing him say this, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Breaking Bad, of course. He was I forgot the villain's name. He was really good in that. And just seeing him, wielding that Darksaber, excuse me. I don't want to get the nerds after me. I think it's going to be really cool, really cool. I'm fascinated to see what they're going to do, and he's on board. He's excited, and like I said, if an actor's excited about something, that means it's going to come up pretty good. So always a good thing. Definitely.
And in my next news story, I'll just bring that right up in to link in with yours. Star Wars Mandalorian season 2 episode titles have kind of dropped. The first one is for chapter 1. They're still breaking them down in chapters, which I think is great. It's The Search. Chapter 2, The Confrontation. Chapter 3, The Bounty. Chapter 4, The Republic. Then chapter 5, The Loyalist. These last 3 get very interesting. Chapter 6, The Sorcerer. Chapter 7, The Return. And chapter 8, The Empire.
Ooh.
So we definitely see some links now. That Sorcerer one makes an interesting thing because of the big rumor mill that was kicking around was a possibility of seeing a live Ahsoka. She would still be alive. She would be older. I mean, we're still thinking Obi-Wan was what, in his 70s, 60s, 70s, maybe. I don't know how old Obi-Wan was in the movie.
Yoda, I don't know.
Yeah, but. So, I mean, we're going to at least put, Ahsoka, if they did decide to bring her in, she definitely would be in her mid-40s to 50s.
She's a lot older now.
Yeah, so, I mean, and the Sorcerer, or they just have a connection with, they find a Jedi, a Force user. That's, that may be just the hint that they may not actually have a true Jedi that we know of. But
The last episode intrigues me though. Empire. I wonder if this is going to be the building of the what is it? What is it called?
The First Order?
First Order. Yeah.
Well, they
I'm wondering
didn't-
if they're going to lay the seeds.
there was rumor last year that there was going to be seeds of the First Order in Mandalorian. I thought that was going to link up before. I thought we were going to see an episode of that before the final, saga, but we didn't. So maybe this season is when we'll see the birth of the seeds being planted, because it should be not much longer after probably like another 15 years or so when the New Order comes around, or is in full power when we see him in Force Awakens.
Yeah, it didn't take that long neither, I believe.
So I mean, maybe we'll see something. I mean, we have seen a lot of connections inside of Mandalorian. Some, if you guys haven't seen it yet, Kane and I have talked about this. I'll probably talk about it now. But the new season of Clone Wars, there's a lot of the Clone Wars has always been one, and we've always talked about it being something that interweaves and threads through the universe. You'll see hints of stories here and hints of stories there. The Mandalorians now in the Clone Wars have horned helmets to honor Maul. And if you remember the blacksmith in Mandalorian, her helmet
Was horned.
horned, and there's a connection there that maybe she was part of that unit, that group. And once Maul went away from the Mandalores, and then the siege of Mandalore happened, then the Battle of Mandalore, the takeover, because that's what we're seeing is the birth right now of that moment when the Empire takes over and kills off the Mandalorians. Right now we're just seeing the siege, but you have the clones there trying to help them out, but what they're doing is they're being an aggressive police force, basically. So you're seeing very reminiscent of a kind of a Vietnam scenario going on there, and it's an interesting twist. But just the series so far, and I know I've raved about the first two story arcs of this series this season. So far, the last arc has been amazing. There's 2 more episodes left in it, and we've seen connections to Rebels. We've seen connections to Mandalorian. We've seen connections to New Hope. I mean, this is just brought everything in. We even see just drew a blank. Rebels. The Jedi in Rebels. Sorry, I'm just Kanan. We actually see a young Kanan with his master. We've seen him before in a comic book only, but here we actually see a live animated version of, not live, but an animated version of him. He's on a hologram with his master, and him standing next to each other. In this, so far the Jedi, the Clone Wars, this one right now is going literally hand in hand with the Revenge of the Sith. At one point, we see Obi-Wan talking to Ahsoka, saying that he's getting ready to leave to go off to find General Grievous. Anakin can't be breached right now because he's now been put in place to be watching over the Chancellor. So I mean, we're seeing everything happening, and we're seeing the behind the scenes parts of it, and it's really cool to see what's been going on. Yeah, the Clone Wars answered a lot of questions, but now this is showing behind the scenes, and I was a huge fan. I don't know if you ever were, of a video game called The Godfather. And it was based around The Godfather, the movie, but you were an up-and-coming thug, basically, who was going around and doing the things that happened. You're the one that put the gun in the restaurant behind the toilet. You were the one that drove Michael Corleone to the airport to escape. You were an unseen force, but you were a person that made things happen inside of The Godfather. And this is kind of what you're seeing right now. You're seeing things happening now that answered, other things that were going on.
Yeah, makes everything tie together really nicely. And I've got homework, so I'm gonna catch up with.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah, because next week, in 2 weeks, we're gonna have the finals gonna be done, and we're definitely gonna have a Lysong talk on that one, because that'll be it.
Yeah, I think that'll be that might be a separate video.
Yeah.
Depending.
Well, I'm putting a hold on on my watch-alongs until this is all done, so that way we can. I want to sit down, because this is covering and being treated just like a story. It starts off with the Lucas Arts, like not the glowing shimmering logo, but where it just says Lucas Limited Arts, and then it brings up the Clone Wars logo, and it's not white, it's red. So it's standing out on its own that this is a different story than the rest of the series. And then, of course, obviously Red is, to hint at the hint at Maul.
And them all, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course this episode's title was The Phantom Apprentice,
Ooh.
which is a double entendre because you got to think if Maul was the Phantom, for Menace, and Ahsoka's really the Phantom Apprentice because she's no longer a Jedi apprentice, but she's still still learning. So there's a very very cool entendre going on with this, and you see the entendre in the things with Ahsoka and Maul not being that far off of each other. It's really cool. So definitely check that out.
Yes, sir.
Disney Plus. Okay, I hoard myself out. So go ahead.
Yeah, you did. Any Penny Dreadful fans out there? Guess what? The sequel, I'm not sure if anybody knows about this. They made a sequel series, or I guess it's another story, but it's still called Penny Dreadful. It's called Penny Dreadful City of Angels. It's going to drop this week if you're a Showtime subscriber to that, to that subscription. But they're going to drop it 3 days early, and they're going to drop it for free. I love the old Penny Dreadful. I thought it was fantastic. They took a way of making classic movie monster characters and just twisting them in a way where they had a lot more humanity. One of my favorite characters in that show was the Frankenstein character. Like, it's not the lumbering, I'm a beast. He was very, how can I say this? He was very thespian-like. He was very, he wasn't a monster. He came back to, he didn't want to be alive. He was very altruistic. He wanted to find a mate. It's just very fascinating take they had.
What was he? Was he very Clayface, like from Harley Quinn?
No, he wasn't Clayface. I wish. Hey, nobody.
When you said the thespian side, I was like,
I'm an actor. What am I gonna do in this scene? I play Bob, a man from Police Department 55. Love Clayface, but yeah, it's gonna drop 3 days early. Not too much of the story I've heard. But I think they're going more of the Mexican lore. Looks like Aztecian things and gods. That's what it looks like to me. So I'm gonna check it out. I mean, I don't know if you were a fan of the old Penny Dreadful, if you ever watched it or not, or
I did. Yeah, no, I did watch the series when it first came out, and I was a fan of it. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I thought it got cut too short, but yeah, that should be dropping tomorrow, I think, or Tuesday. So check it out, guys.
Very good. Let's see what is next on my list. We did have Black Adam news for anybody that's excited about the Black Adam series coming to us from DC. This will be literally, I think, Black Adam then Shazam are coming out within like weeks of each other. But during the casting, or doing casting for Black Adam, a specific person, they're looking. This is coming from the Illuminati group. They're reporting that WB is searching for a 40 to 50-year-old actor to play who they consider a very strong supporting role in the movie. Character is also described as an ageless master of the mystic arts. And as any Marvel fan, worth their salt would know, is anything like that, you would think of one Doctor Strange, but we're in the DC world, and that only leaves one person, and that would be the other Doctor, Doctor Fate.
Doctor Fate, man with the gold helmet.
Exactly. I cannot wait if they're doing this, and especially with Shazam and Black Adam being so close. If they're bringing in Doctor Fate to play in here, again, like I said, it's a strong supporting role. I'm excited. This is what I've been waiting for them to delve into this range of characters within inside of DC. You and I always talk about the DC Dark and all those series, and this just is an added piece of it that we could possibly see something like that.
We were discussing, I think, many months ago. Unfortunately, Swamp Thing went away, but we were discussing our own way if we could somehow weave the universes together and to create a bigger one, especially the Justice League Dark World. And the character we talked about, which is kind of crazy, was Dr. Fate. Well, he was going to be the one that was going to tie it all in. Yeah. And him being a supporting character in this movie, like, because to be honest, I'm not too excited about a Black Adam movie. Like, okay, but when you do stuff like this, I don't know. I like Black Adam, but I just don't think he warrants his own movie. I could think of a couple other ones that could do before him.
But if they're doing what I think they might be doing, if they're using him as a gateway to the rest of the DC magical world,
that's what I think they're doing. That's what I think.
You
they do.
know,
I think they stole your idea. That's all I'm saying. They straight up ripped off your idea because I think this is opening up a bigger world. You can see it now. Now we're gonna get Etrigan. Now we're gonna get Dead Man. Now we're of course we're gonna get Zatanna. That's only a matter of time before that happens.
well, I don't. Well, I mean, we should get Zatanna, but just because it's not, Doctor Fate is not connected with Zatanna. You thinking of the DC animated series and stuff, those movies, that has nothing to do. Her father doesn't become Doctor Fate except in those movies. So I mean, if that's what you're kind of hoping for, is to have that crossover over.
It's an easy way to tie them in.
It's an easy way, but so is it just introducing Zatanna. It's easy. You just introduce her as this amazing female, magician. You just have to find a great actor who can talk backwards. I mean, really, that's all. I mean, that's her biggest challenge is because she casts her spells backwards. So it's definitely
man, Dr. Fate. I mean, are we gonna get that giant tower that he lives in that looks like the Egyptian cross? I wonder if we're gonna get that.
Hopefully, we'll get that. We're gonna get.
I want to get the weird stairways where he opens.
I just want the
doors.
helmet. I just want the helmet. The second I see the helmet on screen, I'm probably gonna scream.
Well, you watched the Constantine series, right?
Yeah.
The helmet was there.
Oh yeah, the helmet's been everywhere. I loved that we did have a Dr. Fate in Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
It
was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love their version of Dr. Fate. I want him so bad.
Yep.
I can't wait. Oh, let's hope. I guess I'm next. So they announced, not announced, but they announced what the, I guess, what is the way I can put this? the Captain and the Winter Soldier. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Got Captain America and you on my mind, I guess. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they announced what kind of vibe the show is going to be. I guess it's the best way I could do it. It's going to be, I guess, it's going to be more of the espionage route. If you like the Winter Soldier movie, guess what? You're going to get more of the same in this show. So I guess Hydra's going to show back up. Maybe we'll get Sword. I think that'd be kind of cool. Throw Sword in there. Because I think they kind of, it's not slightly mentioned Sword, but I think in a weird way, I think that's where they're going to go. You know, after S.H.I.E.L.D., I think Sword is only a matter of time.
Well, because you had Sword. What else did you have? Didn't you have another one? Another acronym for?
There's another one, yeah. Marvel has a couple acronyms.
Yeah.
I know they have Sword. I don't know, something else.
Sword and Hydra, and then I thought there was something that started with like a G. I might be mistaken.
No, there's something. They have so many acronyms.
Yeah.
Because they all came out of. Well, I think all come out of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think didn't Sword come out of S.H.I.E.L.D. or they were like
Sword was
offshoot?
Sword was an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, I knew they came out of it.
Because
They were
Sword's the one that
space-bound, right?
yeah, that Sword was more space oriented in their stuff.
Weren't they on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Sword? I don't know.
seen that show.
I stopped watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
when they
me too.
chopped off Hulk Coulson's hand, and I was done. Sorry for spoilers, guys, but that shit happened.
The show's going to end next month. So
Yeah.
Come on, get on it. Netflix, check it out. But yeah, so we're gonna get that same vibe of Winter Soldier in this TV series, which of course everybody's gonna say, of course, but they could have gone the way of a buddy cop route. Or,
I was hoping they wouldn't. That's why when you and I were talking about that off air, we were I was just like, oh well, of course it's going to be espionage. I wouldn't want to see a buddy cop comedy. I don't want to see a Lethal Weapon version of them. I want to see the espionage, but with that bantering back and forth. I mean, it's going to have humor. I'm not. I've reserved myself. It's going to just remember what happened during the Civil War. That whole bantering, because this is where this idea has stemmed from.
yeah,
They have a series together. It's nothing like we've never seen them together, but the chemistry of the actors really planted itself during Civil War, especially during the Spider-Man fight scene.
Oh,
that whole thing.
Hysterical.
Well, you couldn't do that sooner. I hate you. I mean, just that, and then them sitting in the car waiting for while Cap's getting making out with his niece.
Oh, that was great.
Hey, can you move the chair up? No. I mean, just that banter back and forth. So you're gonna have that kind of humor, but they're gonna be supportive of each other, because you have to realize Bucky is Cap now to Sam. He is now the mentor. I don't care what anybody says. Bucky knew what was going to happen at the end of End Games. I don't care what anybody says.
I knew it. You knew it.
He had a relationship with the older Cap while this was all going on. I'm guaranteeing after he got cleared up of the Winter Soldier programming, he became friends with the old Cap. and that's why he knew the second that something happened, he already knew where he was sitting. So
He did,
So, yeah,
and like, and when before he went on the time traveling device, he knew that he was gone. He knew it. He knew this was the point. He's like, don't do anything stupid. He's like, you're taking all the stupid with you.
yeah,
I mean, come on, that was it right there.
So
He
that's
knew it,
that's
so.
what I'm saying. He will be now the mentor, the cap to Sam. Which, and I'm okay with saying that, but you're going to still see that bickering back and forth.
I can't wait. It's just gonna be. I'm looking forward to this. It should be dropping this year sometime, I think.
No, I don't know because they're running really
think it's
slow
got-
on their.
I think that was one of the series they finished that one. No, they probably didn't finish that one.
No, that's what I'm saying. They've been running slow on all of the.
They might have to push that one back.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we didn't talk about. There's a lot of things that got pushed back.
Well, I was just gonna at the end. I was just gonna say, hey guys, the things if you're looking for shit, it all got pushed back already.
just to let you, in case you didn't know,
It's all got
it
pushed back. Yeah, so don't worry about it. Let's move on.
Speaking of moving on, Captain, what do you got next?
Next. Hold on, gotta bring up my news here. We're going back to Star Wars. We did kind of talk a little bit about Cassian Andor earlier when we were talking about the new series, but Star Wars reveals exactly when Rogue One Disney Plus show takes place. They were talking with Tony Gilroy, who co-wrote Rogue One. He will also write, direct, and serve as the showrunner for the series. This will take place 5 years before the events of Rogue One. In addition to Gilroy, who did the movie Nightcrawler, you're going to have Beau Willimon, who does House of Cards, and Stephen Scheif, I believe is how you pronounce it, who did The Americans. So you're definitely getting a espionage feel. If we were just talking about Captain, or see, I did it too, Falcon and Winter Soldier. You're gonna get an espionage here because that is all Cassian Andor is talking. When what we know of his past is he was a spy and he wasn't a good spy. He was a dirty spy, and so we're gonna see that. The one question they do have, that I guess I kind of have, and that was kind of brought up in the article I was reading, was will this show take place every season? Will that be a year as it builds up, and then really just only run for 5 seasons? Have a plan to go the whole season, or go all 5 years, just in those 5, in the 5-year run of the show, which I think would be a good idea. And again, the show, the writers that they have on here, I think are great. House of Cards, I loved. The Americans, when I was able to get a chance to watch The Americans, I thought was a great show as well. So
yeah, very well written show too.
Really looking forward to see what they do with Cassian. That and Obi-Wan are the two I'm really looking forward to. And who knows with this new female-centric one, whatever they base it off of, they may pick one character to dissect, like they are doing here. They're dissecting away Cassian. They're dissecting away Obi-Wan. Maybe they will pick a female to pick and choose. Again, there's that rumor that was kicked around about Ahsoka. Maybe they'll take the Ahsoka novel and do that, but branch out and make it, add more story to it. We don't know what's going to happen with this. So
fascinating to see where they're going to go with this. The whole espionage kind of spy type of thriller, like, stealing plans from here and there, just trying to get under the Empire's skin. At first, when they announced this, I was not looking forward to it. I was like, I think they kind of did everything they did with Cassian Andor in Rogue One, but now you're going to bring him aboard, have his own series, and get flushed out. You're going to find out that his family were part of, they were separatists, if I remember correctly, and they supported the separatists. So I want to see that backstory get flushed out. So Star Wars is moving on. I think that's the big thing that I'm gathering for the news that that we're reporting today, and overall that's been dropping lately, is they're moving on from the movies. The movies are going to take a backseat for a little while. We're going to go smaller. We're still going to have that Star Wars universe out there, but we're going to go smaller. We're going to have more flushed out storylines, and this is the best way Star Wars can go right now.
Yeah, you move forward.
Because the new trilogy was, it was, depending who you talk to on what day of the week, it was, some love it, some hate it. I'm kind of in the middle, really in the middle, especially with the last one. But them diving deep, going here is where I think Star Wars should live, at least for now. They're gonna do movies again. It's gonna happen in the future.
Yeah, they will.
Right now, we're focusing on Cassian. We're focusing on Obi-Wan. We have this new series, female eccentric led. I think it's gonna be great because like I said, Russian Doll is great. So I'm looking forward to all this stuff.
I mean, with me personally, with the movie series, I would be completely okay with them doing one series and not doing these trilogies again, but doing like they did with Rogue One, like they did with Solo, a one and done movie in the Star Wars universe. I think would be great to do. Even But again, they're living in the television world right now, which is perfectly fine. Streaming is king right now, and they just need to get those wheels on the ground some more. They've done it already with Mandalorian. They know they can. There are people there that are interested in watching something happening in Star Wars universe that is completely original. Now they know they're bringing in these other two series, Obi-Wan and Cassian, with people that were recognized. We know who these people are. We know their backstory. So that's just going to add more fuel to their fire. I think the success of Mandalore pushed this new series, this female-centric series, out because they, again, like I said, they saw that their fan base was willing to accept a new character. It's in a world we recognize. Like Lucas always says, it's all about the rhythms in your storytelling, and as long as they have the same rhythms and there's the same heartbeat to the universe, they can do it about anybody. They can do it about a death stick dealer, who goes good. We're all gonna watch. Star Wars fans are gonna watch it.
You know what? I want to see that series now. Can you imagine like a death stick deal, like Breaking Bad style?
Yeah, I mean, just.
Oh my god, I'm in. Check out how I create the death sticks here. Come on, the death sticks.
Yeah, just do Breaking Bad that way, and just people
Breaking Bad
will
with
watch it.
I'll watch it. Shoot. Anyway, am I next? Yes.
Yeah, you are next. Yes, sir.
This is my last one. Michael Dougherty, who recently directed Godzilla King of Monsters, which I think is woefully underrated and did not do too well in the box office, which is sad because I think it came out. I think when they introed it at Comic-Con, and you would think the movie was going to drop a week later, it actually dropped like 6 months later, and whole disaster thing. But anyway, he announced on his Twitter page he was doing another live watch party because everybody's doing live watch parties nowadays. Hell, I'll do one Friday. He announced that he would like to do a Godzilla movie based on the Titans in that movie, basically a prequel, like where they came from. If you watch Godzilla King of Monsters and there's a scene where they go underneath the Godzilla's lair, which is underneath the ocean, some kind of volcano, whatever. He's passed out. As they slowly go by on this ship, you could see these markings in the wall of the particular creatures. So these creatures, these Titans, which they call them in the movie, they've been around for a long, long time. So he wants to do a movie based like where did the Titans come from? Because it never says where they came from. They were just there. So he spoke of being interested in doing a movie just like that. And I'd be fascinated to see. I don't think it's going to be in fruition, like come to the big screen. Maybe they could do it in a small screen. I don't know, but I think it's interesting. They definitely have a lot they could do in that world.
Yeah, definitely.
And just doing it like that perspective, like because we've all seen dinosaurs to death, but this is different. These are just monsters, Titans as they call them, and to see where they came from, like where did Rodan come from? Where did Godzilla come from? They mentioned a couple things here or there, but they've never said where they came from.
As long as they don't go the Prometheus route, all right? We've had our origin monsters before, all right? And like you and I have said before.
You totally ruined it for me, man. Like, now I have that.
I'm sorry. I pee,
And I
I
like
pee on your
Prometheus,
picnic
too.
all the time, don't I?
Oh, man, you just
But that's
really
my
know
only
how to
concern.
throw that
Again,
gasoline on
you have a great monsters, and we've had the monsters, the kaiju since what, the 1960s, maybe 50s, 60s.
More 50s. The
So-
40s was the first one, yeah.
So you got to think we've had them for almost 80 years without a true origin story other than nuclear war or some nuclear fallout or something that triggered them, and then here now 80 years later somebody feels the need to explain where they came from. I just hate that. That's again that I was proven wrong with Joker because again that here you have another 80-year-old story of this character. We've never needed an origin story. I don't want an origin story. He's just the Joker. Period. That's just all he is. And I guess who knows? I could be completely wrong about this. I mean, to have an origin story, but again, you look at what we had with Alien. We had an origin story, and look what it did. It wasn't. They were interesting stories, but to me, they're not the origin of the aliens. My origin of the aliens falls back into comic books. It falls into the Predator series. I mean, how they were captured and used to help the Predators hunt. To me, there's your origin story, cut and dry. They're just mindless beasts.
But I think a guy like Doherty, and he's a sweaty, and you could tell how much care he had in Godzilla King of Monsters. Like, he put a lot of effort and detail in there, especially where they came from. I would be disappointed if it was somebody else, but not him.
Yep.
Because he's a big sweaty, and I think if he gets a chance to do it, I think he'll take care of it. I think he'll do it justice.
Let's
he
hope.
won't make it stupid.
Look who had their hands in Prometheus.
I know, but that's see Prometheus. There's things about Prometheus I like.
There again,
there's things about Prometheus I hate.
There was, there was a lot I liked, but again, it's the origin of the story. It was cool to, it was cool to see the origin of the ship. That that's how it got there. That explains how Ripley and the Nostromo's saw it, and that's cool. Now we know how the ship got there, but the whole backstory that they were the ones that they were the giants were the creatures that seeded the world. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of getting too much explained to me. Don't.
I know.
What do our female friends say? Don't mansplain it to us. Don't mansplain. Don't. There's certain things that we just don't need to be explained. I don't need to find out why Freddy or Jason were picked to become these monsters. Don't need it. They were just monsters. They were dirty. Well, not Jason, but Freddy was a pedophile, and that's it. But why him? Why did he survive? I'm sure you can come up with a backstory. Don't want it. Don't need it. Jason, same thing. Don't want it. Don't need it. He just was what he was. For some reason, he just keeps constantly coming back. Okay, that's all my answer.
Yeah, no explanation is necessary.
But that's just me, and
I know, but this is a little bit different for me. I kind of dig it because I love all the kaiju.
Exactly. So. I mean, you're a huge kaiju fan. That's
my jam, so I know. To me, I'm on board. I get why you're not. I mean, it makes total sense.
I'm gonna watch. Yeah, I'm gonna watch. But don't get me wrong. I don't. Those are one of those times that yes, Joker came out great. But again, Joker also ended with. Was that it? Was that really Joker? Or was that not? So
you don't know.
He played it very smart in that he didn't say yes. This is the Joker. Which is that he left it as open ended. Don't know if he meant that or if that's just how it came across, but that's how a lot of people took it. Even he said it. He made a comment. He's like, it's kind of cool that people are seeing it that way. So I'm guessing he didn't really mean it. But I bet you those are the sweaties out there. They're like, I don't want that to be it. I don't want it to be.
And he never said it was. So. What you got?
That one is my last one. Unless do you have any polls this week?
I got some old school polls.
Me too. Well, again, nothing news coming out. I did have reports that DC is going to start coming out through 2 different distributors. Not a lot is going to be coming out from them. They have just gotten their first shipments in, by the way, for anybody that has a local comic book store that is still open. Ours isn't, but that doesn't mean the other ones aren't in our area. We just know we go to our home. But if there are comic book shops that are open, they have already gotten this week's delivery from CT. I'm trying to remember. There were two distributions that DC used. But now they're coming in, and these things are coming in bubble wrapped. They're coming into the boxed and bubble wrapped like that. They're treating these like gold. And I will tell you, mark my words, about 5 years from now, these books are going to be worth something. Because you got to realize it's a limited run, limited places are open. So whoever's got access to a comic book store right now and gets these, they're going to be hard to find in a couple of months. Buy them. Get them.
Buy 2 of them.
Buy 2. Yeah, because I got a really good feeling, a good hunch, because nobody else is. We can't go out and buy them. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other stores around here. And I don't know how the other stores are if they're closed. But so maybe in our little town, we have 6 comic book stores in Orlando area in general. We may have 2 open.
Maybe. I don't think. I have to find one open.
That's what I'm saying. We got Acme, we've got Banff, we've got Coliseum. Right? I don't know. Again, you got Coliseum, you got Mike's out by the Florida Mall. You got Mike's, and you got another one, Gods of Monsters. I think they're closing. They're not doing so good. But I mean, like I said, we have quite a few comic book stores. I just don't know. We're not tight enough with them. We're tight with Acme, not with the other stores. So, but again, like I was saying, say we have our 6 stores here. One's open. Only people that know about that are going to go get those books. All of us over here on this side of town,
no idea.
By the time they come out, by the time the other stores open, they're probably not going to have those books because those books were distributed by these guys. When Diamond distributes their books out, which they're not coming out till May 20th, is their earliest date to drop. Those books aren't going to be in print. DC's going to print the next series. So it'll be interesting. You got to look for your COVID books, in a few years. And well, I mean that's really kind of the quarantine series. I mean, they're going to be out there, and they're probably going to be harder to find books. Is really just what I'm thinking. But DC or Diamond did put out to all the comic book stores. This is also the last weekend for them to order their books going forward to make sure they get in there. They're not disputing with DC. Them and DC did have a little argument about, no, we said we weren't going to be distributing with you guys, and there's a back and forth, and finally Diamond's like, yeah, you did say that. So they're not in breaking any rules or anything. The comic book stores that are out there, this one's kind of interesting. They usually have to order a minimum from the big ones. You got to order a minimum of this many and that many from Marvel, Image, DC. DC doesn't have a minimum. So there's a little. They're doing some changes right now just for the industry to keep it going. But I do know Marvel did finally furloughed their comic book division. So we're definitely not seeing anything getting worked on right now. I think last week they did a furlough on them. So the reason I went on that tangent. Yes, everything that pretty much we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, at least for another month, probably it will be old school stuff. So check it out on Comixology. Check it out on DC Universe, guys. That's one of the main reasons. Yes, I love the shows that are on there. They only have a couple that are new, but I get it on there because the comic book selection on there is just massive, and it's nice. It's easy to grab. This is the one thing I love about the DC one is you don't have to download it. You don't have to download, like when you're on Comixology, you have to download the book to read it. Not on DC.
Is there.
DC, you just open it up and start turning pages. I love that fact of it. They've done what Comixology did, and they just did a little bit better with, like I said, with it, because that's the one thing I don't like about downloading with Comixology. I'll download it. Takes dude, and I've even got great service, all right, and it still takes too long. Yeah. But I just like having that instantly on DC. I can go turn the page, and so and they just got the Black Label, or not Black Label. I'm sorry, the White Knight series. They've just pushed those out, and those are pretty new.
I'll have to check that out then, because I haven't read. Yeah. I think I read the first issue of White Knight, but
they've got the first series of White Knight, and I think they've dropped the first couple for the latest series that they're just wrapping up or just wrapped up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into our heroes poll for you. All right, Kane, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because I really only had one book that I covered or read this week because I was tooling around with other crap.
It's okay. I got House of M by Brian Michael Bendis. Now, this is a book that I've heard being mentioned actually all over the geek community about how good it is. There's a big storyline involved in here. So I decided this week to check it out, see what was the whole of the fuss about it. If you guys have never read House of M, I'm going to give you a little brief synopsis of what it's about. Basically, it's about the Scarlet Witch. And the Scarlet Witch in the comics is this overly powerful mutant. And one day she decides, while she's going crazy, by the way, at this point. She's on an island of Genosha with her dad, Magneto, and Professor X, and they're basically trying to take care of her mind. But at any minute she can snap, and she does. And what she does is she basically snaps and changes reality to a different reality. And in this new reality, there's only a couple people that remember when that happened. One of them happened to be Wolverine. So in this new reality, you find out that a lot of people who used to be together or around are not around anymore. Like, Professor X is gone, right? What happened to Professor X? We don't know. We don't know anything that happened. You find out that Magneto now has a place called House of M, which is called... House of M basically is House of Madness. That's the big thing. That's what the Madman means. And then you find out that the Scarlet Witch is still very unstable during this time, and her powers are just so out of whack, and she can distort reality, and she has. And during this time, she said one phrase which has been over and over again used: no more mutants. One that said, basically, the people who used to be mutants are no longer mutants, and they have no memory of being mutants. And it's just a fascinating story. I think it's very heavy. It's very dense. You can get lost in it. I took the spine of what it is, and basically you introduced to all these other mutants. You know, basically I think what they were trying to do is combine X-Men runs into one continuity, and I think that's the goal they were trying to do. And I think going forward they kind of did that in a way. There's some things I like about it, like when they introduced this one mutant character. His name is M, very powerful mutant, and he ends up being dead. Basically, the X-Men mansion is now being run by the X-Men, of course, but they're being guarded by Sentinels, which I thought is very interesting. And like I said, these guys have no idea that they were living in another reality. Like you have Cyclops together with Emma Frost, which I think is a weird combination. In this world, obviously, Jean Grey is dead. You don't know about Jean Grey, but her daughter, Rachel Summers, is alive, and she has a little bit of the Phoenix Force into it. Anyway, I don't want to spill the beans of the whole thing, but that's the spine of it. And reading it, it's very dense, very dense. It's very deep. It leads into something else, which leads into something else, which leads into something else. But the basis story is actually pretty cool. I did dig it, like the different relationships. You see different realities for other people. It's called House of M by Brian Michael Bendis, the X-Men run, and check it out. I don't know if you read it, Captain, but like I said, for me, it was a little bit heavy. It kind of went everywhere, but if you focus on the main story of what it was, it's actually not that bad.
No, yeah, I've read it before, and not the whole book or the whole series, because, like you were saying, one book will be from this guy, from this series, and it'll connect with House of M, but it's not part of the bigger picture. I read primarily the main one, and what's nice, and you were talking about it, is how it changed the X-Men world, and not just X-Men world, but the Marvel world. This also has, in the new run that I just got done and you started reading, the new X-Men series that's been out for a while, that has seeds in that and from the House of M, because you have afterwards these characters that have come back that had been dead for Pyro. Pyro was killed off in the late 90s, or not late 80s, I think, in the X-Men run. Well, now he's back because of what happened from the reversal of House of M, because eventually it reverses everything. And that's when you see like this strange love triangle, or love square, really. I think it's more like it, between Cyclops, Jean, Emma Frost, and Wolverine. You see this strange, like they live in a apartment up in the moon where there's like it's like a little pods, and each pod is a bedroom, but they're all grouped together in this one kitchen area, and it's very communal. It's really and a lot of I was saying, a lot of the stuff happens because of House of M and what Wanda eventually does. So yeah, no, definitely that is one of those must read books. We've talked about your must read books, your top 10s, your 20s, or whatever.
It's up there.
This is one of those ones.
Very good read.
Because it was, between God Loves and Men Kill, I think, is one of the series from X-Men. Yeah. That's up there. Yeah, that's up there. And then you have this one. Those are like some of the major stories you really want to read in the X-Men. And again, House of M doesn't just touch on the X-Men; it impacts everybody. Because again, that's one of the nice things with Marvel. You have the Fantastic Four, but their son Franklin is a mutant. So they're kind of intermixing and interweaving everybody. So definitely, definitely, it's a good read. Like you were saying, very dense. Yeah, it's a heavy read.
It's a heavy
read. You can pick up on House of M and get all the good stuff off of just one graphic novel. But if you want to go deep, you can go get the other ones.
The thing about Bendis is he's pulling from many different runs. He's pulling for the Astonishing X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men. He's pulling from tons of different things. And that's that's the big thing about it. Like, if you have no idea what he's talking about, you haven't read these yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't give you a backstory about it. He just basically pulls them in and is like, okay.
Usually they'll have like a little thing at the bottom of the panel. Hey, refer back to this issue. Yes. And of course, especially when you get into something like that, you're going to see those little yellow messages all over the freaking place, and you're just I can't. The one I was trying to do, and like by the time I caught onto it, and I thought it was kind of a cool idea, was the one that ended last year, War of Realms for Marvel.
I didn't get into that one.
I wanted to, because I started picking up some of the books. It's like, this is kind of cool, but again, it's one of those ones. It's so massive. 2 books for Spider-Man, 2 books on Thor, 2 books for Fantastic, and you got to like grab them all and mush them in and find out where to start. And it's, if you don't catch it, you really miss out on it. Mine is actually Green Lantern. I decided I just randomly I just grabbed it because honestly it was the cover art that really got to me. This is called Green Lantern No Fear. It's Jeff Johns, Carlos Pacheco, Ethan Van Shiver, Darwin Cook, and sorry, he's going to butcher that one. Simone Bianchi. And basically, this is the story of Hal's redemption after the Parallax incident and the destruction of Oa and the breaking apart of the Green Lantern. He's come back to Earth. Hasn't really told anybody he's back. Few people have found out, and have just checked in on him. The Green Lanterns of the sector have you see John Stewart, you see Kyle come in and check on him. You see them flying around, making sure he's okay. He basically goes back to the United States Air Force and goes in as like a lowly little private to try to get his life back together. He has a house in Coast City, which the government is now rebuilding, but Coast City is a ghost town still. Nobody wants to move back into after it was destroyed. And if anybody's not familiar, during the rise of Superman, after the death of Superman, when he came back, one of the big storylines that was going on with the death of Superman was that Mongo and the cyborg Superman were trying to destroy Earth, and the first place they dropped a bomb on was Coast City, and it destroyed the whole town and the outlying suburbs. And this drove Hal Jordan mad to the point where he rebuilt Coast City with his ring, but it was just ghosts. They were just, imaginations from his ring, and then that's when he lost his mind and drifted off to Oa and broke into the center of the ring and found Parallax, the anti Green Lantern, and then basically just went ape shit all over the world, all over the universe. So, yeah, I mean, it's if nobody's seen that, that was a massive story that lasted decades. With that,
yeah.
I mean, you got to think
the Green Lantern for a while. Yeah,
you got to think the death of Superman when that happened, and then the continuation, just the fallout from just that one moment impacted, Green Lantern. But it's just really cool to see him back. He's trying to rebuild his life. You see him reliving moments when he's back at the Air Force Base, and you see him like remembering his dad bringing him in to actually learn how to fly. His dad would sneak him in. The security guard there, knew his dad, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to give the boy a flight. Show him what I do." Okay, and then you see Hal do that to Kyle, because he and Kyle are flying around, and he lands, and he's like, "Hey, come on." Kyle's like, "Where are you taking me, dude? Why are we leaving our rings here? Just come on." And he takes Kyle up for his first flight. He's like, "Yeah, you fly with the ring, but you've never flown. You've never really." And it's sort of a passing of the torch between Kyle and Hal. You see him and John talking and catching up, and John's like, "Hey man, welcome back. Take your time. We've got this covered. You've got Kyle, you've got me, you've got Guy." And you just see them talking and just talking about the local core, and it was real good. You see him starting to fall in love again, starting to find a new love interest. You see an old rival from the Air Force come around, and you see them kind of butting heads, which is really cool. Then one thing you see is the relationship with Hal and his brother, something you very rarely will see, especially from a superhero standpoint. Hal's in Coast City living in this apartment. His brother shows up and he's like, "Man, what are you doing here? Why didn't you come by and see the family?" And he's just, "I can't with what happened with mom and brother." And his brother's like, "You got to come with us. Live out in the suburbs. Get a job. Do something different. Give up the superhero thing." And him and his brother have a good moment. It's like a very tender book when you sit down and read it, and then you also find out. There's a manhunter running around, which I thought was really cool. Nice throwback to the manhunters. Then you find a new manhunter running around too, so you just see Hal at his best, but trying to recapture who he was and trying to pick up after a very destructive time in his life.
Yeah, very dark time.
I mean, the first run is like 6 books, but then that run continues, and it continue with the books. They're really good. But if you just want a good overall story, just those 6 issues will do it. And like I said, it's No Fear with Jeff Johns on there. doing the
Jeff
running.
definitely knows how to write the Green Lantern. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And it's been a while since I
that's
picked
one
up a
thing.
Green Lantern book. That's why I was like, man. And like I said, the cover just grabbed my eye because it was very rich and in like deep, cover. So, and then that's how the art just continues. The art is very gritty and realistic too. It's different than a regular Green Lantern from the last Green Lanterns I've read. So
Sounds like a really good story too, especially considering, like you said, where he came from. Like the guy, literally was a murderer.
Yeah.
For a while, and he knew what he was. He went insane.
yeah, and nobody knows. Nobody knows who that was him that was doing it. So when he comes back, it's not like, oh, you were the bad guy. Only a few people know. The Lantern Corps knows, and they're like, listen, that wasn't you. That was Parallax. He got you at your weakest. Nobody blames you for this. So there was a lot of interesting stuff. You see Kilowog trying to go after, trying to get him back into shape too, which is kind of cool to see. Good old
Kilowog.
you see hear a good Poozer line coming out. So I was happy when I saw that. And one thing that actually got me is like, man, I was like, I really need to go back. I wanted to like finish the Rayner run. I never really got a chance to finish his run.
Yeah, it was okay. I finished a couple. I never got the whole way, but I thought he was okay.
I loved it. I thought his run was really great. I mean, especially when his book is one of those books that has made like a lexicon in comic book statements. In fact, it doesn't just happen in comic books with him, but it happens outside of comic books. That the girlfriend in the fridge comment has been made famous. Boy. It's like Fonz and jumping the shark. It's all over the place. Girlfriend in the fridge. That's a storyline, but people that don't even know comic books know the reference of what it means, but they don't know where it came from.
No,
and that's
why
I
keep thinking that they associate it with Hal or John, but not
no,
Kyle.
yeah, it's Kyle. And again, Kyle was probably the best of the Green Lanterns because of his mind. His mind was an artist, so he could come up with anything. That's why I really liked his run. Kyle. You had Hal, who was the Air Force pilot, and then of course you had John, the Marine Corps. You had Guy, the smart ass, just he was the street thug basically of the Corps, and then you had the artistic side with Kyle, and I think they all do run. That's why I was kind of wanting to get back into Green Lantern and pick up some of their stuff.
Definitely have to check that one out.
But yeah, that is on DC Universe, free by the way, if you are a subscriber.
Check that one out.
Yes, sir.
I got one more. And it's really short too. It's like a 4-issue run by David Hine, and it's called Spawn Armageddon. Now, I haven't read a Spawn comic book in 15 years,
Yeah.
Probably since the original run with McFarlane and all that. And I was not looking forward to this one. I was like, but I kept looking at it, Comixology. I'm like, you know what? It's only 4 issues. Like, what the hell? So I downloaded it. Took 2.5 hours because my speed is so slow here. But let me tell you something. It's really fun. It keeps at the core of what Spawn is and what he's going to be. Basically, these 4 books take place after Spawn has defeated Malboja. Right, Malboja, he was one of the demons of hell. He's basically, they said, hey, Spawn, do you want to be Malboja? You want to be New Bell? No, he doesn't want to be it, so he leaves hell. Then the story really takes place. Terry, his ex-best friend, of course, married Wanda, and they have these 2 twins. One is a girl, one is a boy. And they keep acting rather oddly throughout the whole run of the book. You don't know what's going on. Because at this point, Spawn is still the Hell Spawn, but something is coming. We don't know what's coming. The forces of heaven are getting ready. The forces of hell are getting ready. We don't know what. And this new angel pops out, the Seraphim, and she basically is almost like the angelic character, if you remember the old Spawn run. And she is getting ready for this Armageddon of war that's going to come. Like I said, where's God? God's not there. Where's Satan? He's not in hell. Nobody knows where they're at. As you continue to read the book and find out why these 2 twins are acting very oddly, you guessed it. The 2 twins are basically the host bodies for Satan and God. And what you find out eventually is that Satan and God didn't create the universe that they think. It was another character called Mother, basically based on Gaia, Mother of the Titans and all that. And Mother had created all these basic deities throughout multiverses and multiverses and multiverses. And Mother views Satan and God as her 2 greatest failures. Because these 2, instead of like creating things for humanity and mankind and making things better, they basically were always bickering and fighting each other. Always bickering and fighting each other. Finally, Mother had enough of this shit. So you know what? I'm going to take you both, put you in separate corners. I'm going to put your bodies away, and you're done. You're just done. Not going to happen. So what happens is, everything comes back, and they got reformed into these two kids. So basically, God is in this other little kid's body, and Satan is in this little kid's body, and they're going to go fight. In the middle of it is Spawn. Why is Spawn there? You do find out because basically Spawn now has got to deal with what's coming. Is the coming Armageddon. I don't want to give too much away because the story is really, really cool, and it's really short, like 4 issues, and you're done. But it just goes deep into Terry, and it goes deep, especially the Spawn character. When you find out towards the end, because he has basically a wish of what he wants, and he wants to go back. Spoilers: he wants to go back to his old life. But then the mother character shows, Spawn or Terry, Al Simmons. He shows Al. He's like, maybe you don't want to do that, because Al in his mind keeps thinking, Wanda was the love of my life. I'm the only reason I became a Hellspawn was to get back to her. But when you find out the reveal towards the end of the issue of why, it just twists the origin of Spawn around in a way that you never really thought of, and it made me think like, wow, how come I don't get books like this? Because I love that heaven and hell shit. I love the demons and the angels and all that stuff. That's my jam. I love that. But when they did it from this perspective, it was just new. It was a fresh take, and the way they portrayed God and Satan, it's really cool. Like I said, it's a 4-issue one. It's David Hine. McFarlane didn't do much on it, except a couple of the artworks. That's about it. But it's like I said, it's called Spawn Armageddon. 4 issues. Really good if you're into that apocalyptic heaven and hell stuff. It goes deep into characters, deep into other characters that I haven't even mentioned yet. But definitely check that one out. I'm not sure if you read it, but it's.
I've heard it. I've heard about it. I haven't gotten a chance to read it, but now I'm gonna definitely read it because that sounds really good.
It's really cool, especially the Satan and God characters. And they go more deep into it, and the mother character goes more deep into it. There's another character called Man of Miracles, who's really cool. It's just really cool stuff. It's out there, but I dig all that stuff. So definitely give Spawn Armageddon a chance.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be one that will show up in my queue here shortly.
Yeah, like what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, about 5 minutes. If I had my tablet with me, it's too far across the room.
Use the force.
Yeah. All right, so that is it, guys, for the Heroes Asylum Heroes poll. Really don't have much show information. I kind of already talked about the Clone Wars, and I want to wait till this story arc's over before I delve too deep. I mean, I went into it a little bit, but not as deep as I possibly could have, because there's a lot of things that are happening in there. Of course, the new Harley Quinn series is out, so make sure you guys do check that out. DC Universe again, not getting paid by them, unfortunately. Maybe one day.
Hopefully.
But I mean, it's a good app. You get, like I said, with all the comic books you can get on there. Also, again, the Harley Quinn series, which if nobody's watch the Harley Quinn series, it's great. I heard somewhere that it was getting picked up for a TBS or something like that. I'm like,
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi
is doing
there
the
is
season,
I don't know how they're gonna get away with that, man. There's some stuff on there that just I don't think that they can do it. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of odd. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that show that shouldn't even be on cable.
Well, like the last one, this episode is she finally finds who is it, Firefly's blowtorch, because she's trying to get back at Mr. Freeze for freezing her up and making fun of her. So she gets a blowtorch and makes a ice vagina, like literally the walls and everything. And she's like, boys use their toys to make things. I'm gonna make one from and I'm like, that's not gonna get on TV anywhere. I'm surprised it got on here, but again, it's a streaming service and they can pretty much do what they want. The language and just what they talk about, I just don't see it getting going that way. You've got Commissioner Gordon through the whole thing, who's a blown out alcoholic,
I love
whose wife is leaving him. Honey, I'm gonna do it. We're finally gonna do it. I'm leaving you. It's like he's horrible. Batman doesn't give two craps about him. I mean, it's great, to watch. But I'm just like, when I heard about it, now you reminded me that it was sci-fi. Even sci-fi is gonna be that's got to be like a late night thing.
It has to be. I can't see them playing that at 8 o'clock.
No, that's got to be like midnight on Friday or Saturday night. They air it.
Like a Joe Bob Briggs type of thing.
Yeah, or like I don't know if I don't think Sci-Fi has that. I don't think I've ever seen it. But if they have something like Adult Swim or something for Sci-Fi, maybe but I just that's just something they just need to get out there. I mean, sure, once I think they're talking next month, May 20th. HBO Max is supposed to be dropping, so I'm sure you're going to see that. I'm just crossing my fingers again. I'm a big mark for the DC streaming thing. I hope they keep that around, especially just really for the comic books and the other things. And they use.
Let's hope.
It's
Let's
not that
hope,
much. I don't know if they're. It's not like they're spending a lot of money. They're only making one product. So maybe they'll use that as a platform to branch and throw the other places. Like Stargirl's going to be on there, but it's going to also air on CW. So I think it's like that's going to be the central location, and then it's just going to branch off to the other location. So
let's cross our fingers and hope they keep it around.
Let's
It's
cross our
a
fingers.
Useful tool.
Yeah, it's good. Like I said, it's a great run for great place to get some comic books. And again, the $7.99 a month, really not that expensive. People are paying the same thing for Disney, and you're getting a lot of entertainment from Disney, but you're not getting comic books. You're not getting another form of entertainment. You're getting movies and things like that. But I think the comic book side of it would be great if they do take it away. I would really hope that Warner Brothers or the HBO Max does something with the comic books, because I think that's a good tool to have. But other than that, guys, you can locate us, guys, online. You can find us. The best place to go is streamerlinks.com/Heroes Asylum. That's where you're going to find all of our links to Facebook, Twitter, our website. Our website is currently down. I'm going through some reconstructions for it. So just be patient with that. But that should be up here sometime this week, doing some new changes, cleaning it up a little bit. And then there's links everywhere where you can find us on iTunes, iHeart, Stitcher, all the podcast groups. And also here shortly, hopefully we'll be more consistent on the YouTube, and we'll build a YouTube channel in world here, because I know Kane's got an itch for something, a couple of things coming down the pipe for
something's coming.
In video, and so do I. So hopefully we'll have a lot more product for you guys to view and catch up on here. So Kane, what do you got then for us?
Twitter page is The Heroes Asylum, and that's with the ES. Thank you very much for that, Captain Fricks, and that little